The 52 Gal is a unique short-range shooter, with a slow firing rate but offering the potential of two-shot splats. It has remained throughout time a high-tier weapon, which is very rare as most weapons have a far more volatile history. How did this happen, and how did this start? The 52 Gal was released with the launch of Splatoon, sporting Splash Wall and Killer Whale. This is a great kit as it allowed the 52 Gal to very effectively keep and then hold space. Splash Wall can block off an area and keep longer ranged enemies at bay, and Killer Whale gives it the range to attack those long ranged enemies and adds to the displacement ability of the Gal. The other variant was the 52 Gal Deco, sporting 6 Sparkles, Seeker, and Ink Strike. It also is a powerful weapon, and Ink Strike was a massive addition to the Gal's displacement, but the lack of a wall made it the less used variant compared to the base Gal. The wall was very important to the Gal's playstyle, as it's what allowed it to hold that territory so effectively, and without it, the Gal significantly suffered. The original Gal was very strong in the early days of Splatoon 1. Splash Wall was incredibly strong during this time, and Killer Whale worked fine with the kit. Furthermore, it also benefited from the damage up meta in a way. While defense up could turn it into a 3-shot, damage up can increase the damage of fall-off shots, effectively increasing its range. Still, Gal was very powerful. The Splash Wall combo allowed it to wall off areas, and it benefited from the hallway-like design of Splatoon 1 maps, making it easier to cut off full pathways to areas. However, things began to slide upon update 2.2.0. The Splash Wall's resistance to attacks was decreased by 40%, and the white ink frames where you couldn't refill ink after using the Splash Holes increased from 1.33 to 2.67 seconds, practically gutting the sub. This was a huge blow to Gal, one which it would never recover from. Since the damage up meta made it difficult for the Gal with how easy it was to turn it into a 3-shot, it theoretically should have done better during the quick respawn super jump meta. However, the nerfs to Splash Wall saw it not really getting any better. By the end of the game, it was possible to see one Gal on a team, but never anymore, and it had trouble against more paint-heavy comps. Going into Splatoon 2 was much of the same story. The default Gal came with Point Sensor and Baller. Point Sensor wasn't too helpful on a short-range shooter, and while it saw some use during Baller meta, that fell off. So did the Gal. And hard. The 52 Gal Deco came with Olympic Curling and Stingray. The kit simply didn't stand out at all, and while it wasn't bad, there wasn't much of a reason to use the Deco. As such, it was left relatively underused and ignored. Fortunately, the Gal would receive various buffs from 2.2.0 onward. The points per special was decreased to 180, and 2.3.0 would offer an accuracy buff. Every shooter slowly becomes less accurate over time, and that time was increased for the Gal. 4.2.0 decreased Endlag by 3 frames, and 4.3.0 offered a buff unlike any other, a new kit. Grayscale 52 Gal finally got Splash Wall and came with Booyah Bomb as well. This is an insane kit, offering the same sub that made it great in Splatoon 1 and a better special, rocketing the Gal to a top tier almost instantly, overtaking what the Pro did rapidly. Furthermore, continued buffs would bring the Gal into the meta more and more. 4.4.0 removed another frame of Endlag, 4.5.0 increased damage to umbrellas and other walls, as well as removing another frame of Endlag. 4.6.0 increased fall-off damage from 26 to 30, and 4.7.0 made main power-up increase accuracy. This chain of buffs continued to make the Gal more powerful, faster, and effectively increased the range, just like damage up did in Splatoon, but without the defense up to counter it this time. There is a short break in buffs until 4.9.0, increasing the paint around the feet. 5.0.0 increased damage to the Booyah Bomb by 17%, and 5.2.0 increased the likelihood that the feet would be painted. 5.3.0 increased the time it takes to reach minimum accuracy, continuing to make the weapon more accurate, and decreased the time for maximum accuracy to be reached when not firing from 55 frames to 25 frames. But somehow, every buff so far would be nothing compared to 5.4.0. According to Splatoon Wiki, 5.4.0 increased the radius of ink that lands when shooting far away by roughly 27%, 16.5 units to 21 units. This was absurd. With the accuracy buffs and fall-off shot buffs, movement buffs, and now the long-range painting buffs, the gal now had longer range and was even more mobile. The gal was completely meta, as well as many other shooters, and a nerf reducing the new radius from 21 to 20 did nothing to stop this. 52 went from an underused weapon to one of Splatoon 2's heavy hitters, but would go on into Splatoon 3 in an incredible position. The creative minds at Nintendo, of course, gave it the Splatoon 1 kit back in Splatoon 3. The Splash Ball once again allowed it to take forward positions and hold them, and the Killer Whale 5.1 gave it greater displacement ability than the Splash Ball alone. It's a great kit and has seen some competitive use, but just isn't at the level of K-Gal in Splatoon 2. Killer Whale simply isn't as good of a special as Booyah Bomb was for K-Gal, and as such hasn't been used as much as K-Gal. Furthermore, there are many other viable options competing for the Gal's space, like the buff Splatter Shot and the Splash-O-Matic. While the Gal was certainly used a lot at the start of the game, it has started to trail off in use as the meta has evolved and changed. Version 2.1.0 changed the Gal's points per special from 200 to 190, but that didn't help much and the Gal rests in a worse position than in Splatoon 2. Still, it's a really good weapon that has use on many comps, even if it isn't as dominant as it was in Splatoon 2, and is incredibly fun, something which is very important to all weapons.